Over the last 2 months, I've lost about 20 pounds, which blows my mind.
After 3 months, I've actually lost a little over 16 pounds. Actually, almost 17. I didn't tell you that. Almost 17.
We've been doing this for 6 weeks and I've lost 10 pounds.
I dropped 12 pounds with like the beginning of the 6th week. I was not expecting it to go that fast.
It's been 9 months, and I've lost 57 pounds. That's a lot of weight. If you're free to play, then probably same.
Okay, I just
'Cause,
texted
like,
Brendan.
If you're free to play, like,
He said he looked like he hasn't looked into it at all, but he said it does look very popular and it got very popular very fast. And so I don't know if that's a sign like he's like saying maybe he'll look into it or not. But he said if he looks into it and he says he'll download it, I said it takes a while to download, so I said I'd wait for him. I don't know about you, but I said I'd try to get you to wait for him as well, if he wants to play
All
it.
I'm gonna do is customize the character. When choose the characters, we're gonna go.
Yeah. Okay, what kind of YouTube video do we want to watch? Six-eyed sand spider? Yeah, let's do that. You see that, Nico?
Yeah, I didn't see that fast enough.
You didn't see it right here. Look at that! What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, chill them.
African trapdoor spider.
Alright guys, so what we've just found here is actually one of my personal favorites and a very, very interesting member of this sort of environment, if you will. So let's see if we can actually have a look. First of all, you notice over here, it looks very inconspicuous. I'll actually clean away a bit here. Look at this. Looks like it could be an old tree stump. Maybe someone's trodden a little bit of animal dung there and squashed it into the ground. But this is actually a home to a very incredible animal. So let's see if anyone is home today. What you like to do is just have something just to try and get into this little gap so we're not actually damaging this.
You go watch this shit, dude.
Actually, if you have a look just along the edge over here,
What
there's a
the
little room.
fuck?
And you'll notice that you can get something into this room. Now I can already feels like someone's locking the door. It was very rude of me, I should have knocked first. So you can actually get in and slowly but surely start to open up this amazing door over here.
He's opening the door.
Look at
He
that.
opened a fucking door.
Already
What the
you can see that this particular creature
Oh
babies,
no.
which is very, very cool. So what we're looking at here is a hole of what we call a trapdoor spider. So it's a member of the tarantula family. What they do is when they're very, very young, this sort of size, they'll leave the hole, they go and they dig their own little hole, and they line it with web and soil, and they keep it perfectly cylindrical, as you can see, and they build this perfect little trap door. They've got these little holes in the roof that they can grab and shut the door after them, and they'll stay in this hole for their entire life. So let's see if there is anyone home.
Fucking piece of
Now,
shit.
what is very interesting is,
spiders.
as they grow, they actually DIY.
Dude, he has a
build
fucking
their houses,
rifle. Look at
build
that.
their
He's gonna
holes
fucking
as they
shoot
grow.
them.
So being part of the
He
tarantula
is
family, they
gonna
are
shoot
very
them.
long
He's
lived.
ready to shoot them spiders.
Some members of the tarantula family
Let's
can live
be-
over 20 years.
even
So
when
He
he's
should
not-
have just
like this
shot a
system
bullet
would
into
be
the
no
fucking
problem.
trap door.
all in the same hole, which is quite incredible. So
Boom!
for all of those at home,
This is where they
thinking
spend
that
most of the
after weeks
life in the
lockdown is tough,
fucking hole. I just
imagine
shot a
spending your
fucking
entire
round
life
into it.
in one little hole. But let's see if we can find anyone home. So you'll notice that on this little piece of grass, I just bit the end a little bit. And all that's going to do is just allow this particular critter to be able to bite on and hopefully come out to say hello. Now the babies are a good sign because mom will typically still be around with them. You just got to feel until we can feel a little bit of movement. You can see some of the babies already starting to leave the web, leave the nest and start their own little journey. There we go, biting.
pretty big thing
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Cool. So, small one nonetheless, but I say they do get to about the size of my hand. So this is what we call trapdoor spider. You say mainly just because of the actual trapdoor lid itself, but you can see just by the size of it what we call a ground dwelling spider. So spiders are broken up into 2 different groups depending on if they make a web or if they're ground dwelling. Your web making spider is what we call araneomorphs, actually in reference to their mouth parts, how their mouth parts move sideways. Your tarantulas, a lot of your ground dwelling spiders like your golden, not your golden orbs, your baboon spiders, they actually have these downward facing mouth parts itself. So if they actually capture a prey, typically much larger, they don't have as much venom as the other species. So they've actually used their size to overpower the prey. They've got this massive set of fangs, very, very soft and silky, but if we actually lift up these front little legs, you can see her fangs on the front over here, massive fangs. And a spider this size, and they do get a bit bigger, anything from the larger range of insects, crickets, locusts, even small frogs, up to a small mouse, depending on the size of the spider itself. What we look for is we want to identify between male and female when it comes to these guys, is to actually look at their rump itself. You find the females typically have quite a big rump, and the male's rump will be half the size of that. The abdomen itself will be half the size. Males also have slightly longer legs. They tend to be a little bit more nomadic, so they'll actually go in search for females, find a hole with a female in it. They basically got a signal to her that they are a mate, not food. They'll have a bit of a mating process. He'll actually then go off on his own and leave. You can then see she'll lay her eggs inside, the eggs will hatch, and eventually over time the little youngsters do start coming out on their own accord, completely on their own accord, to actually go and start their little lives. They'll dig a little hole of their own, and if they're females, they'll stay in that hole for the rest of their life, and basically just adapt it and grow it as you go. So they are ambush hunters, and they got little threads of silk that run all along the tunnel here itself, and they can actually feel vibrations of animals walking past. That's an elephant, that's too big. The little mouse comes past, that's perfect. Open up the door, launch out, grab it, and pull the animal back in. They'll subdue it with those fangs, chew the venom in, but the venom basically isn't really to kill the animal. It's more to liquidize the insides, so the insides turn to mush, and actually makes it something that the spider is actually then able to consume. So in terms of being venomous, all spiders are venomous. It's one of the things that makes a spider is actually having venom sacs. But these guys are not venomous to the extent of actually causing any harm to humans. In Southern Africa, it's not actually the biggest spiders you have to worry about in terms of being venomous. It's actually the little spiders. So we've got about 6 different species, all around the size of your pinky nail, your black buttons, your violins, those sort of spiders that can actually cause a lot of harm. These guys have their size. So they use the size to overpower their prey. Their bite to us will basically be like a bit of a bee sting, burn for a little bit, but really nothing severe. You don't have to seek any medical attention. And it really is just their size. They use their size to overpower. As I say, inject their prey, chew it in, and actually then liquidize it. They're then able to then consume that. And often in the bottom, they actually leave all the little components, all the old exoskeletons and that are things they have been eating. And every now and then they'll actually come and take like a bit of a web out with all the exoskeletons, the old egg casings, and actually go and leave it, basically clean the house out, if you will. Take any rubbish out and actually leave them. You often find on the outskirts the old nests and the old exoskeletons from this very clever lady actually cleaning her house as she goes. All right, now we don't want to leave her out of the hole. She is primarily nocturnal, so she does all of her hunting at night, and there's a good reason for that. So 2 of her biggest enemies, funny enough, are ants and baboons. So baboons will actually come along and they'll dig up the hole, completely dig up that entire tube, and actually eat the spider itself. It's quite a good form of protein. But as we showed you with the size of the fangs, she eats things on the larger scale of insects. So something like a little ant, she actually can't bite. She can't physically bite onto it, and the ants will actually swarm and kill her. So it's very important to not only get her back in, but to make sure that we seal up the hole again properly afterwards so no ants can come in. Saying this as well, we've kept a bit of a look around the area. Haven't seen any ants coming in, but in previous times that we have
I
done
like how
this
he always
experiment,
has his hand very
we've
close
actually
to
watched
that fucking
the
spider.
little youngsters come out and walk in
Yeah, I know
between
it.
ants as the ants are coming towards the hole to actually
Brendan
try and swarm the
is
female.
showing some
Actually
interest
seen the
to
little
it, so I
youngsters
think
coming
he
out and
may
walk in between the
like
ants
look into
and
it.
carry on their
So
way.
that's a
So
good sign.
completely oblivious to the ants at their size, but once they do get big, they become a prime food source for ants in particular, who will swarm them and then actually take over the
My Genshin is
stuff.
at
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna
44%.
get to try and bite back onto this piece. If not, we'll get a slightly smaller one. Come on, old girl. She's got these little hooks on the end of her feet that actually hook onto, you can just see them over there, that actually hook onto the door to actually help close them. And those little hooks, along with the fangs, are what we're going to try and use to neatly slip her back in. She's going to play ball today. Come on, old girl. And we'll walk her back to the tube. You'll see once she's actually in the range of her hole, and she knows it, watch what she's going to do. So once she knows she's safe,
You want to know why?
This is what happens when she knows she's safe.
Because
What?
it never has. I know that's hard to believe, but it's
That's when she knows she's safe.
yeah,
You get
actually
to see
curve-
a
curve
girl.
herself in, and off she goes. Now, typically she will close the door behind her, but obviously we've caused a little bit of a disturbance. So she's just trying to retreat. So we're going to close that hole up nicely, like so.
Boo Boo, shut up.
And what I actually like to do is just to take a little bit of extra dirt and just rub it into the edges there. She's still able to push it back up again, but we've sealed her in safe. A couple of her youngsters
How did
are on
the
their
fuck
way
did he find this like
Just
a
got their
little
own lives.
hole?
in their
Is
their
my
life down
question,
lockdown, if you
because
will.
that's probably like very
I don't
difficult to
fucking
find
know.
those little holes and shit. Boo Boo,
I'll use
shut the
these
fuck
pair of
up.
tweezers and just slowly poke her out. Oh my!
Why are you so
What
mean?
today's video is going to be super
Oh
fun. I
no,
mean, at
dude,
least
this
for
guy.
you guys, but for me, you know, when it's fun for
The
you guys,
war,
it's always
the
fun for me.
Vietnam War
And you wanna know
guy that
why?
lost a
Well,
lot of
this
spiders
enclosure,
that
check
day.
this out. I got this tub, and it has like a lot of substrate. Literally, it's from here all the way to the bottom. So do you guys want to guess what tarantula will be rehousing in here? I don't know. Post it down in the comments. Pause this video. Do whatever you want. So you've got 2 hints to guess what species we're going to be housing in here, apart from looking at that. Okay, don't look at that. So in here, it's going to be an old world, and it's going to be one that would require some deep substrate to burrow. Yes, now it's not in some super deep substrate, but it is deep enough to like cover itself. But I'm going to be rehousing it into this. It's sort of an upgrade, and look at the amount of substrate. It's literally like 3 times the amount of that. And well, I'm pretty sure she will be very contented in this enclosure. However, this enclosure is a little bit big for her. You guys guessed what tarantula we're going to be rehousing in here? I don't know. You'll probably post it in the comments, or you haven't. I don't know, but it's time to reveal.
I was
So
5
this,
feet
oh
in the-
gosh,
in the
this is a
video and
nightmare
said
tarantula
what it
that will
was.
be rehousing in here. And well, if you guys guessed Miss Thailand Black, you are absolutely correct. You guys know this girl. This is one of the most famous tarantulas on this channel. You guys know her from the watering video especially, and some of the feeding videos, but mainly watering videos. Yes, she can be a real pain with me at times, but I mean, look at her. She is down there. She's one really big girl. Now I'm very scared to do this, but I just want to show you what. Stop it. Oh my gosh.